It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we move into Monday. Gary, what's happening?
Okay, before we get to the meat and potatoes portion of the show, I just saw this headline and I just burst out laughing just a few minutes ago. Alan gave me this story from the New York Post. The DNC chair, almost crying, claims David Hogg is making it impossible to lead the party. No one knows who the hell I am. DNC Chair Ken Martin vented about party vice chairman and Parkland shooting survivor David Hogg to the point of near tears in a recent call with top Democrat brass, saying, "No one knows who the hell I am." I'll be very honest with you. For the first time in my 100 days on this job, the other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. He said, "No one knows who the hell I am," right? I'm trying to get my sea legs underneath me and actually develop any amount of credibility so I can go out there and raise some money and do the job. I need to put ourselves in a position where we could win. I don't think you intended this, but you essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need. He said, directly addressing Hogg, "It's so frustrating." Towards the end of the leaked audio, Martin's voice grew softer, and he paused at least twice, appearing to be on the verge of choking up. Well, don't worry. You don't have to worry about David Hogg. The Democratic Party is, again, self-destructing this past weekend. This is the media.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you see all this coverage and everything going on with the riots, the anti-ICE, the abolish ICE is back, by the way. That's, after we went through what we went through in 2024, where you had people, keep in mind, illegal immigration was a massive driver in 2024 for the election, a massive reason Donald Trump won. So for these people in Los Angeles at this clearly organized riot, what's going on right now is this is their Hail Mary on illegal immigration. And they always do this. Let's go back to the old playbook. Man, abolish ICE started how many years ago? It was a long time ago. But it's all they've got left. With the word that they're bringing back that gang member to face charges. Well, they're bringing him back to face trafficking charges. That could end him up in an American prison for a very, very long time. We'll see where it goes. But this whole thing of abolish ICE and all of that. By the way, California, honestly, is, it's the border state that doesn't care about its citizens when it comes to illegal immigration. They really don't care. I've met, I don't know how many people that have moved here from California. One young man in particular, and I say young man, last time I talked to him, it was a little over a year ago. He's in his late 30s, and he moved here several years ago because he didn't feel like his family was safe in California because of illegal immigration. Now, he's Hispanic. His entire family is Hispanic, and he had to make the choice to leave the San Diego area because it was out of control. He didn't feel like he could raise his children safely because of the way that California treats illegal immigration. Come on in. You're welcome no matter who you are. So it was inevitable that if there was going to be a riot when it comes to illegal immigration, that it was going to be in California. Here it is in California, of course. And the very incompetent Governor Newsome, everything was fine until Trump got involved.
I know. You're not going to win that one.
What, you mean these little fires here? This is exactly his attitude with the fires, too. The same thing. Oh, the fires? Oh, no problem. Hey, don't bother me. I'm on the phone right now trying to call President Biden. And the one mom who said, show me your phone. Show me, prove to me you were actually trying to call the White House, actually called him out. She was great. But the entire state of California, the legal citizens of California should be calling him out once again when he says something as stupid, as ignorant, as mindless as everything was fine until Trump got involved.
Oh, yeah. I want to get to the one thing where he dares Holman to arrest him here.
Yeah,
Here we go. Here we go. This is tough guy Newsome. Here we go.
Yeah.
Get your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing?
Does anybody believe that? By the
No.
way, just see, they were trying to make it sound like they were going door to door, just, seeing if they could find anybody that was illegally in here.
Right.
They had targeted criminals that they were looking at, even because of the whole point where they said, I saw Bill Mallusion right, they actually didn't, go into Home Depot because they were employing illegal immigrants. That's where two of the criminal illegal immigrants were walking into.
Right.
And New York Post and others, Bill Mallusion also lining out the people that they actually went after, including murderers, gang members, drug dealers, everything else. They've got the names and everything else of who they were going after. And Gavin Newsome and Mayor Bass, they want it in L.A. They want the chaos.
They're fighting for this.
They want the criminals. They're willing to stake their political careers on illegal immigrant criminals over the safety and security of citizens. End of story. Stop with the niceties here. There is no two sides to this.
No, there isn't.
There's law and there's order.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the politicians that wish to make your city and your state a hellhole.
Well, they're festering. They're in fact fueling the flames. It's not Trump making it worse. It's their policy that made this happen in the first place.
Yep.
And what they're saying is, we don't want the law to be enforced. That's exactly what the translation is here.
Right. Do not enforce the law.
We don't want the law to be enforced. Our law is sanctuary policy, where the criminal illegal aliens can walk around and people can be in danger. We need the chaos. We thrive politically from the chaos.
Let's play. This is audio from Tom Holman yesterday. Here we go.
I'd love to get your response to Governor Newsom saying, essentially, that your actions here are provocative, and the quote that he used was sowing chaos.
Governor Newsom's an embarrassment for the state. He's the one that's feeding this mantra. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary laws. If he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals, where criminals get released to the streets of this state every day because of his policy.
Is he wrong?
Nope.
And so you can sit there and play the minutia CNN and others were trying, to do, but you had federal law enforcement that was being attacked.
Yeah. Yep.
In federal law enforcement officers being attacked. The timeline, I saw the police chief say, well, we responded within 30 minutes, but traffic and everything else. And they're like, well, these guys were there for 2 hours. Right. And it's like, we're not going to, as the president being the boss of the federal workforce said, not going to leave our people that vulnerable.
No.
You're not going to win that in the arena of public opinion. When the truth comes out, which it's already out, when the truth is out there, the people recognize it. And the imagery of the one guy in the motorcycle waving it was the Mexican flag? Waving the Mexican flag with everything burning behind him. I saw that and I went, that's it right there.
Yep.
That's it right there.
Yep.
All these images are going to be used in the midterms. Understand who you're voting for, Democrats, and that will be shown. You'll see the cars burning, and you'll see them defending the Democrats, defending the illegal immigrant criminal.
Yep.
As they said, everyone, Mnuchin was saying, everyone that they went after was either a criminal, illegal immigrant that had a warrant, or someone who had a deportation order already from a judge.
Yeah. Right.
That's who they were going after.
Yep.
And so again, the only thing that they have is lies.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we all know, if you believe in sanctuary cities, you believe that the criminal illegal immigrant should have more rights and should be free to roam in your city, and to hell with the law-abiding citizen of any city or the state of California, because your politicians don't give a damn about you.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
ICE agents didn't start this.
Nope.
They were doing what Congress has dictated them to do under the law.
Yep.
Your elected representatives did this. There is no authoritarianism going on here at all. It's simply following the law that the elected representatives, which is Congress, just in case Democrat politicians need a little bit of an update about how the whole damn system works, because either you're idiots or you're lying, which means you're willing to lie to the citizens of your state in order to protect illegal immigrant criminals. And you believe you have the high ground.
Right.
Oh, my God.
And then blame Trump for the riots.
Right. Trump's to blame. Well, the ICE agents are to blame.
Yeah.
For what?
For enforcing the law. How dare you enforce the law?
They have nowhere else to go, though.
No.
You know, I looked at this week and I go, well, you've just extended this now. And again, if this goes on all summer, they say, are these riots going to happen in different cities now? Are the radicals going to be out there now? Is this going to be the summer of defending criminal illegal immigrants? Well, then you've just kept this top of mind for every single American. And if you want an 80-20 issue that might be a 97-3 issue after this, you've got it right there.
You got it right here. And for those, if there are any people that believed the ad that Kamala Harris put out after she became the nominee, once Biden stepped down and she became the presumptive nominee, I guess, at that point, and put out the ad that she was going to build the wall and she was stronger on the border than Donald Trump, then you have your answer as to what the truth is. We all know what the truth is. But in case you were delusional enough to believe that ad, that she was going to be strong enough on the border, stronger than Donald Trump, calling the response to it that Trump's response was cruel and calculated. What's cruel and calculated is the creation of policy and the enforcement of policy that gets us to this point in the first place. What's cruel and calculated is the kind of policy put in place that endangers the lives of the citizens, the actual citizens of California every day. My God. I don't know how anyone continues to live there. I really don't. What a disgrace.
Yeah. And they're just so blunt about it.
Yep. They're proud of it.
And then the media. I just love it. Mostly peaceful 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
no,
it's
that's
just
exactly
like,
what it was.
But it's like they don't. There's no pivoting. There's no learning. I sit there and watch this, and I'm like, watching CNN, going, really? Well, anything could be, when you have an entire city, there probably were, of course, protesters that were mostly peaceful.
Yeah.
You're
right.
not worried about the mostly peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
You're worried about the not mostly peaceful protesters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing that matters.
Right.
You don't sit there and say, well, we're ignoring the burning of these vehicles and these attacks on law enforcement because 5 miles away there's a peaceful protest going on.
Right. Overwhelmingly peaceful, as Kamala Harris said.
Yes.
Overwhelmingly. I'm overwhelmed as to how peaceful this is.
Just amazing.
Wow.
We got a great show ahead, 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Every driver knows the cost of replacing tires is a major expense. What if you could save on tire costs without sacrificing performance or safety? Consider retreads, a sustainable, cost-effective way to rack up your miles. When talking retreads, sometimes there's worry when it comes to wear. But just because the tread is worn on a tire doesn't mean the casing is. Quality casings can far outlive their original tread. And once they're on your vehicle, the tread on a retread can last just as long or longer than the tread on a new tire. The key to preserving casings, whether new or retreaded, is regular tire maintenance checks.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Just going down through all the responses to Governor Gavin Newsom, blaming Trump. And as you go down through it, the vast majority just pounding on him. Just absolutely pounding on him. And I'm talking 9 out of 10, maybe even more. As we go through it. Yeah, I keep going through it over and over again. Social media, they're getting destroyed on. It doesn't really matter. You and I talked about this a long time ago. It doesn't matter whether CNN's on there. I did see a headline. CNN finally says it's violent. It's not a peaceful, mostly peaceful protest.
Right.
Well, we've already been there, done that already. People remember 2020.
Yeah.
We remember
Yes.
mostly peaceful protests with the fires behind them. And the same thing's going on here. It's almost as if they don't learn anything from their mistakes from before.
Right.
Or their lies from before.
Right.
But I just love it. No. There's mostly peaceful protests going on. There are people with their families, not where the rioting's going on, somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somewhere else in California, somebody's at a beach having a picnic.
Overwhelmingly peaceful. I'm overwhelmed as to how peaceful this is. Everybody burns a car every now and then.
I don't know why we go after bank robbers, because all around that bank, people were peaceful.
It was peaceful.
It was peaceful
They
everywhere.
peacefully pulled the gun out.
Right.
Peacefully asked for the money.
Ignore the bank robber, because in the surrounding communities, things are peaceful.
Well, and
what kind of idiot are you?
the money's going to go back into the community. For the love of God.
It'll help the GDP. It'll help the GDP.
Help the economy. These big banks don't spend that money like they should. The bank rob.
All right.
Stealing from the rich, giving to the poor.
All right, so I picked the wrong example. I forgot. I picked the evil bank by mistake. All right? I was in a hurry to come up with an analogy, and I came up with the wrong one. I came up with a bank, and it's justifiable. I understand in today's society that you rob a bank.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody cooperate or I'll peacefully use my gun. Seriously. I mean, they've just lost their minds on the left.
It's a new level of stupid.
It really is.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Here in the last hour from Fox News, the Los Angeles Police Department declared an unlawful assembly Sunday night as protesters failed to disperse in the downtown area. Agitators have splintered in and throughout the downtown area. LAPD Central Division wrote on X, residents, businesses, and visitors to the downtown area should be alert and report any criminal activity. Officers are responding to different locations to disperse crowds. An unlawful assembly has been declared for the downtown Los Angeles area. The department said protesters marched into the L.A. Live Area and Entertainment Complex in the heart of downtown Los Angeles that sits next to Crypto.com Arena and the Los Angeles Convention Center, and were blocking lanes on streets around it there. So There you go. I've also seen a lot of the independent reporters saying, we haven't seen any National Guard anywhere. Saw that, that they just, they didn't see them, for example, on the front lines anywhere.
Right.
So, what they're, but I think it was Cam Higbee and a couple of other ones that are out there that a lot of the same ones that were out there, remember, would have been last summer, right? Was it last summer for the, I get my years confused. Last summer for the riots on the college campuses?
Yeah.
Is that last
right.
year?
Yeah. It's going to, I guess, depend on how well they're able to control it locally. Because at some point, take the National Guard out of it. At some point, locals have to be protected. This can only go so far. This is a lot like the fires. LA's on fire again. This time it was set as, from the violent protesters. And the wildfires that happened that were destroying much of California, you look at the way that was handled, and eventually, maybe we can. This is who Newsome is. This is who Mayor Bass is. These individuals have absolutely no clue on how to lead. Kamala Harris says things like, we stand with citizens in protecting our rights, basically standing with the protesters. Well, hold on a second. What are you talking about, our rights? If we're talking about illegal immigrants, these are people who don't belong here and are lawfully being removed. The other thing, too, is this is not about anything except for Trump's agenda. Damn right it is. It is Trump's agenda to enforce the border.
Well, since it was really, you think about inflation and that, the number one thing, and as we got closer to the election, it was number one, then it's the people of the United States agenda.
Exactly.
She
knew that. She wanted to build a wall.
Somebody said it. Who was it? I can't remember who said it over the weekend. Somebody said all the things, Trump, the Trump agenda, MAGA, and someone said this isn't MAGA. The American people overwhelmingly.
This right here
and went through the different issues that are 80-20, saying
this is 80-20 all day.
Say Trump didn't get 80% of the vote. This is America's agenda. It's not just Trump's agenda. It was a Republican who said it.
Right.
I went, oh, that's really interesting.
That's exactly what's going on here. And this is an American agenda.
And then you read, for example, Jonathan Turley wrote on X. He said, Governor Newsom's reaction on violence attacks on ICE agents. Quote, L.A. riots? Have these geniuses ever seen what happens when the Eagles win a playoff game? One thing is certain, none of us has ever seen the genius who thinks mocking attacks on law enforcement as a sport is a perfect spin, with local Democrats fueling the anger. This is Jonathan Turley now, lifelong Democrat, with local Democrats fueling the anger against ICE and dismissing the violence. Many local leaders have little credibility in opposing the use of federal forces to protect federal agents. For federal agents, they are working in cities declared sanctuaries in a state where the governor's office views violent protest against them as akin to a sport. One can understand why they might ask for backup. It's Jonathan Turley yesterday. Wow. Great point. All great points.
Yep.
You don't care. You've already said we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to help federal law enforcement.
Right.
When they're being attacked, I expect the president would say, we got to do something.
Right.
We've got to protect, our federal agents. Remember, we dealt with this back when in Portland with the Antifa protest. Remember, was it a police? It was a federal building.
Yeah.
When they were attacking the federal building.
Right. Yep.
So they're attacking the federal building, and there isn't enough local. But you call in the National Guard at that particular point.
Right.
You do what needs to be done to protect federal property. This and this thing is they're trying to ride this fine line. This isn't like when Katrina. Remember when Katrina hit and Bush wanted to put in National Guard and the governor and mayor, was it the governor or mayor? One of them refused. And he said, well, there's nothing I can do because of posse comitatus.
Right.
Can't do anything about it if they don't want. And then Bush got blamed for it. He goes, I wanted to send the National Guard in earlier.
Yep.
They wouldn't allow me. There was no emergency yet.
Right.
They said, no, we don't need it. I wanted to send them. This is a whole different ballgame.
Right.
These are federal law enforcement officers that are being attacked, and they're doing the job that they
are sworn to do.
Are sworn to do under the Constitution of the United States and under a law that was passed by the elected representatives of the people. So Democrats, all this authoritarian crap you're throwing at Trump in this case, shut up.
Yeah, they lose this all day. They think they're winning this. You can tell how they're talking. They're out in numbers. This is we talk about this all the time. The real tell is, again, when there is that common thread. The common thread over the weekend was to blame Trump for the violence. It was overwhelmingly peaceful until Trump got involved. Wow. Attacking agents is okay with us on the left.
Yep.
That's overwhelmingly peaceful. How dare he enforce the law? That's exactly what they're saying.
I think it was I think it was Dana Bash and Senator Mullen that were on, and he was saying, what are you talking about? They've laid out these were criminals. It's already out there. We got the names, many of the names of the criminals and those that had deportation orders. Is that everyone?
Yeah.
That was her response.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is that every single one of them? It was like, whoa, wow.
Yeah. Right.
It was like, well, they've already said, if you get caught up, we're targeting them. If you get caught up and you're illegal and you get caught up with them, when we arrest them, if you're there, yes, we will deport you.
Right.
They've already said that.
Right. Also enforcement of the law.
Right. But we're focusing in on those that have broken the law and those that have current deportation orders are supposed to be out of the country.
Right.
Now, if you get caught up in it, you might have to go too.
Well, and that's the thing is imagine that ICE were just looking for people here that were here illegally, even if no other crime was involved. They can do that. You can round people up who are here illegally.
It's been done before.
It's been done before.
In Democrat presidencies where there have been no protests at all about
right. But that's the point we've gotten to, that, oh, no, just the ones who are criminals by other definitions as well.
But you can't even do that.
No, exactly.
Right.
You're having to fight in order to do that.
Yep.
You'll cause a riot if you try and do that. That's what the left wants you to. This is what the left is saying. You enforce the law, you're causing a riot. We want lawlessness. We want this on our streets.
What you're seeing happening with over the weekend in L.A. is exactly what the Democratic Party wants.
Yep.
We said this during the summer of 2020. It's exactly what the Democratic Party wants.
Right.
They want riots in the street.
Yep. Just insane. It is just insane.
It is.
That this is what they're fighting for. When we said the left isn't changing, they're not about to change. Again, the ridiculous ad that Kamala Harris is stronger on the border than Donald Trump. Seriously. What a load of garbage.
I know.
Just garbage. They would rather see the streets burn. They would rather see illegal criminals walk in the streets of L.A. They would rather your family be less safe.
Film Illusion had this on Saturday. Federal sources ID'd some of the criminal legal immigrants' targets ICE arrested in their L.A. operations yesterday and today, which sparked violent protests. They include multiple gang members, convicted sex offenders, violent gun offenders, and drug offenders. One has already been deported. They include, and they go through the names of them right there. Bill Illusion has the name of it. And then later on, he had one of a murderer. Guy who was convicted of murder a long time ago, who also that they got. And so this is what they want. The Democrats want violent criminals and drug dealers that are not citizens of the United States in your community. And if the federal government goes to remove them, they are okay with the riots that happen. Because they lied about it. And that's the only conclusion I can come to is they lie. I'm just not throwing out the accusation.
No.
I'm looking at what's there. Well, you lied about it. You said Trump didn't cause this.
Right.
Trump didn't cause the attacks on these ICE agents that made the president say, "Where's local law enforcement?" Sorry, we're a couple of hours late. Sorry, that's not acceptable.
Nope.
We're going to protect our federal agents. And then you're saying that it's mostly peaceful, which, again, is ridiculous. Because could you use that on January 6th?
Exactly.
Would they have accepted that on January 6th?
Right.
Well, the vast majority, 99% of the hundreds of thousands of people, was mostly peaceful.
Right.
It's mostly peaceful protest.
Right.
No. You look at where the violence occurs, and that's what you focus on.
Right.
That's why law enforcement exists. Law enforcement doesn't exist if you're peaceful. I mean, it exists, but it's not. It's not going after you. And so, wow, I'm amazed the stupidity of Democrats doubling and tripling down as if they think there's going to be an advantage here.
Well, no, they really think this is the new civil rights movement. But this goes back to 2016, the day after the 2016 election. Wall Street Journal does a man on the streets informal survey in Harlem asking, why do you think Trump won over Hillary? Because he was worried about things here. She was worried about things elsewhere. He was identifying the problems here. That's one of the common threads in the answers. This is what they're fighting for.
Here it is. Governor Gavin Newsom press office 2 hours ago. This is 100% a Trump-manufactured crisis.
There you go.
He and his team are sowing chaos and division unnecessarily and without any formal request from local law enforcement. Simply put, it's unlawful and needs to end. Governor Gavin Newsom wants riots.
Right.
He wants chaos. He wants destruction in Los Angeles. There's no other way to look at it.
And he's okay with agents being attacked.
He's okay with federal agents being attacked. And he's okay with lying about the cause of what happened.
Right. Blame it on Trump.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We have an audio cut of the absolute perfect stupidity out there of Democrats coming up. But I just saw this one. You saw that those those what do they call it? The Google cars.
Oh yeah,
The Waymo cars that burned. And these are self-driving cars. He goes, for those who don't know, I saw this on X. For those who don't know, these are Google self-driving cars and competitors to Tesla Robotaxi that launches this month. They each cost $200,000 apiece, millions of dollars burned of cars burned. Poor Google and their open border policies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't win. I mean, it's when you see the imagery coming out of this could not be worse for Democrats.
Oh, it's horrible.
And they're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. It's really amazing to watch this.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. We made it to a Monday. Woo-hoo. So I'm reading this here from Fox News, and this comes from, hang on one second, this comes from retired FBI Special Agent Jason Pack. Shared an in-depth analysis with Fox News Digital about the riots in L.A. He said, what we're seeing in L.A. right now is rare. While the FBI and National Guard have a long history of working together, especially through specialized units like civil support teams during chemical or terror-related threats, this is fundamentally different. Pack said the National Guard here is federalized, operating without the governor's request alongside federal law enforcement in a public order role, which shifts it from being the behind-the-scenes coordination to boots-on-the-ground enforcement. And the FBI is not investigating in the background. They're actively identifying people who attacked federal agents, coordinating with Department of Homeland Security and protecting facilities, Pack said. Pack said that the FBI and National Guard have long worked together, but emphasized what is happening now is not common. What we're seeing now in Los Angeles is a different posture. It's public, it's federally controlled, and it's focused on law enforcement, not disaster response. So while CST history shows the FBI and National Guard can work well together, this situation raises higher stakes. Look, no one wants to see the military in our cities, but when federal officers are assaulted, when ICE agents are hit with bricks or Molotov cocktails, that's no longer a protest. It's a crime scene, and it's a federal crime scene. He added the FBI is doing exactly what it's supposed to do and is identifying the violent offenders and holding them accountable. There you go.
Yep. Again, you attack a federal officer, those officers must be protected. You attack federal property, that property must be protected. And when the local and state governments fail to protect that property, it's the duty of the federal government to protect it and protect those agents.
Now, to show you how bizarre a world this got, this is a California representative, Berrigan, out of California, on CNN, and talking about that Trump deployed the National Guard because he doesn't like to see the scenes of peacefully protesting. While she's saying that, it's a split screen showing the burning vehicles behind her. It's absolutely just. And who posted it on X was Rapid Response 47.
Yeah.
So the president, the White House's Rapid Response page posted what this Democratic congresswoman out of California was saying because he doesn't like the scenes of peaceful protesting. As you can see in the background, it's not peaceful protesting. Again, this is going back, this may be too far for some people. This is going back to the Iraq War.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Remember that?
Yep. It's Baghdad Bob all over again.
Yeah, this is
There's nothing going on here. Tanks in the background.
And here we have Baghdad Berrigan, Representative Berrigan from California. Here we go. Listen to this.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
So, as she's saying it, it's the two guys on the motorcycle driving around the fire, which is going to become the symbol of this, which Republicans are going to use to absolutely destroy Democrats. And while she's saying it, the burning scenes are going on with the motorcycle with the Mexican flags. I'm like, you cannot buy this kind of advertising.
No. It is.
I mean, it's
and I think, who was it? Was it the sheriff in Riverside that was saying the gaslighting that's going on with this whole thing?
Yes.
I mean, it's gaslighting to a new extreme. Overwhelmingly peaceful. Nothing's going on here. Don't believe your eyes. You know, we've been saying for a long time, they act and talk as if the internet doesn't exist. Think about 2025. 3-year-olds are looking at their cell phones going, what are these guys talking about? It's clear this is a full-on riot. I can see it right here on my Instagram page. I mean, that's really telling, because for the longest time, when social media wasn't prominent, but we were in the internet age, but social media wasn't as prominent as it is today. They could get away with things because things didn't go viral. You had to go out and look for them. That was kind of the version of viral before social media. Once social media comes about and then things start going viral and everybody's posting everything. Remember, they tried to shut that down. Remember that years ago they were trying to, before Elon Musk bought Twitter, the FBI had a second headquarters set up at Twitter. And we also know that they went to Zuckerberg on Facebook, and you're just gonna throttle down the messages we don't want people to see. You're gonna make sure nobody sees those messages. Nothing goes viral if we don't want it to go viral. Now that age is over. The Twitter files ended all of that. And the truth comes out. And now, with TikTok and everything else, think about that. TikTok is still owned by China. And it's prominent, and it's getting the liberal agenda out. If you look at the viral videos that were going on, I saw so many viral videos over the weekend from TikTok, so which means China's directly involved in getting out the propaganda against the liberal Democrats, and it's just mind-boggling that they act as if, again, the internet and social media doesn't exist. The Baghdad Bobisms of today, because if you go back to Baghdad Bob back then, you had to see that on CNN.
Yeah, you're right.
In order to know that video didn't exist anywhere else but on your TV.
So it really doesn't matter what CNN is doing, doesn't matter what MSNBC is doing.
No.
People are getting their news on this from the internet, which means they're getting it from X.
Well,
and it's so damning right now to the left.
Yeah, if you look at like when the law enforcement cars are burning, when they're on fire, if you look at the people walking around, you know how many people were filming that with their phones? Everybody on the ground. Everybody on the ground's filming everything all the time. That's the way things are. It just, so they become, I don't know. Look, Elon Musk said, you are the media now. That basically is that version of it. I don't know if someone's just trying to post videos that go viral. It doesn't matter. If you're posting something that's happening right now and it's everywhere, how many different people are posting it? And then how many people share it from that? And then you have someone like a Bill Maloogian, who's an actual journalist who's reporting on things as they're happening. And that stuff goes viral. The people, the actual journalists that are on the ground that are reporting things like that, and the facts, those things go viral. There's no way you can hide that. You can try all the gaslighting in the world, and this is going to be so damaging to the left. Newsom just looks like a complete moron once again.
Well, here it is, Riverside County Sheriff, as you mentioned, Chad Bianco, and blasted former Vice President Kamala Harris over her claims that the Trump administration is to blame for the L.A. unrest. Quote, President Trump didn't start these riots. He's not out there lighting cars on fire, hurling projectiles at law enforcement, or blocking freeways. This statement is an embarrassment and does nothing to diffuse the violent riots taking place across the city, he posted on X. The Democrats and their leaders own this. Harris claimed that what was unfolding in L.A. County was a result of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. Quote, this administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear of a community demanding dignity and due process, Harris stated in response to Trump deploying the National Guard troops to help with the anti-ICE riots. The sheriff, Bianco, added a video of a scene from the riots and urged the public not to be gaslighted. Quote, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Karen Bass, and the Democrats want you to think this is a peaceful, quote, peaceful protest, Bianco said. Don't let them gaslight you. Yep. This is Gavin's lawless California. Our state deserves better. He said he's monitoring the situation closely, and there is a zero-tolerance policy for any criminal activity associated with the, quote, peaceful protest, end of quote. You know, the thing is, though, you put that in quotes. Remember, this is the incredible thing. We've often talked about politics. Politics is one thing. When politics gets into popular culture, if you're not on the right side of it, you get destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the whole peaceful protest stuff, how many comedy scenes were done on it. You know, it became this huge joke directed at Democrats, which was the perfect example of their complete and total delusion and or complete line, which means they're advocating for violence in the streets. Yep. There's no other way to look at it. Nope. And so, but it just got to be, you know, the whole thing, remember, because the peaceful protest started, really, it was in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
That's where it all started in the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
Mostly peaceful protests. And there's the city's burning, neighborhoods burning behind you.
Right.
And the same thing here when they're saying peaceful protest, and you've got the guys riding around on the motorcycles around this vehicle burning with the Mexican flag, and they're saying, no, it's a peaceful protest, as she was doing right there on CNN.
Right.
You cannot buy that. The White House must be going, are we paying these people?
Right.
I would think that it would be a conspiracy theory that you could sell that Trump is actually paying all these people to do it because the Democrats, nobody could be this stupid and delusional.
It's one that would float.
Exactly. It's a conspiracy theory that float.
Definitely one that would float.
You'd say human beings cannot be this stupid. Gavin Newsom cannot be this stupid. Karen Bass cannot be this stupid. Representative Berrigan cannot be this stupid. The only thing is, they are.
They're stupid. Yep. They're this stupid. And they keep doing it.
They keep doing it.
You would think after the L.A. fires, the wildfires in and around L.A., you would think after the bungling of that, seriously, if you told me, oh, there's going to be something that's just as bad that comes down the pike from Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass, I would have thought, well, I don't know how you get this stupid. I don't know how you repeat this kind of stupid. Well, here we are again. Here we are again. For the for the law-abiding citizens of Los Angeles, my gosh, you deserve better. And most of you voted for these people. Most of the voters chose Mayor Bass and chose Gavin Newsome. And this is what you get.
Yeah. Well, this is the Animal House Kevin Bacon syndrome.
Right.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. You haven't punished me enough.
Right.
Punish me more.
Right.
Hurt me more.
How could it be possible? I'm still rebuilding from the fire, or maybe haven't even started rebuilding from the fire. Can we get something else? Oh, more fires as a result of rioters.
Think about this. I had said, well, you're going to hear about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, Sunday, and then this thing, could just disappear. If they never made the phone call, though, that never happened.
Right.
But he was completely gone by the time we got to Sunday morning. Everything was the riots. It's let the stupidity of the Democrats always is a, hold my beer moment.
Yeah.
They always raise the stakes on it to the point where by the time you got to Sunday, Elon Musk was reposting Trump saying Governor Gavin Newsome and Mayor Bass should apologize to the people of Los Angeles for the absolutely horrible job they have done. And this now includes the ongoing L.A. riots. These are not protesters. They are troublemakers and insurrectionists. Remember, no masks. Elon Musk reposted that Donald Trump True Social post.
Yeah.
We live in unique times, Eric.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per-gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per-mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. As always, what a zoo it's been. And reporters still, the independent reporters still, they're in the L.A. streets.
Yeah,
saying
they are.
It's still going on. By the way, did you see Maxine Waters?
Oh, yeah. They really don't have anywhere else to go. Remember the ICE raid in Colorado, where these were gang members, these were violent gang members in Colorado living in this apartment complex, and they were tipped off. And we said, look, this is a very dangerous situation. And in that moment, there were people there. You could call them protesters. It's nothing like we're seeing right now in L.A. and other areas. But where there were people on the sidelines basically screaming at the ICE agents. And we said then, the only place for them to go is to escalate this kind of activity to the point that they're willing to do what? We asked the question about defending for locals, whether it's a local mayor or a governor or anybody else stepping in the way of ICE. How far are they willing to go? We're seeing all that play out right now, and that's not going to change.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. I was walking out the door to get a cup of coffee, and Alan yelled,
That break just flew by.
We're going back on. I'm like, huh?
What?
Well,
Going back on what?
But it's not my fault.
Yeah.
You know why it's not my fault? Because
Why?
all day long, all weekend long, storms coming. No,
Yeah.
these are the big storms. These are the big storms. These are the big storm. So yesterday, and they said the storm is going to come anywhere between, what they say, 8 o'clock and 3 in the morning. And what I forgot what the name of it. There was a 100-mile-an-hour winds they were talking about, 115. And then 80, 90-mile-an-hour straight-line winds.
Right.
And I know there was a tornado warning within 30 miles of me, but from what I know, my house cameras and everything is fine. And my neighborhood group text. There's been no text.
Right.
That's how you know. But so I came in, like an hour, at least an hour early, to try to beat the storm. Second time in 2 weeks I've tried to beat the storms on the way in. Succeeded both times. The line's coming in from the west, and I'm heading from south to north. And it's like, okay, can I beat it? Can I beat it? Can I beat it? Well, on the way in, I saw that airplanes, by the time I got to I-20, I saw airplanes were still taking off from DFW. And I went, oh, I'm fine. They're still taking off.
Yeah.
And came in, and, we've had some rain, and got windy a little bit, and I guess a couple of, tornado warnings, and probably there were some straight line winds especially in our listening radius on our flagship station WBAP here, which at night goes a couple of thousand miles. But it wasn't that bad here at all, was it?
No.
So
it wasn't.
So my schedule's off so much. I was like, I need a cup of coffee. Just need to sip on a cup of coffee. I was walking out, and it was like, where you going? Come back.
Yeah.
Got a show to do.
It's not over.
So,
well, it was, everything was planning, as you mentioned around here, around the Sunday night weather event that was, there were some areas that got some high winds and everything else, and heavy rain and lightning and all that. But it looked like in our neighborhood it was going to be much worse than it ended up being. We actually had torrential downpour several days ago. I had some straw, some grass hanging from the bottom of my front license plate. I went through some fairly deep water. My truck made it with no problem. That was the other night. That was several nights ago.
All right, yeah.
Well, so my wife comes out of the grocery store. I was waiting in the parking lot for her. She just runs in to grab something, comes out, and she goes, "You got straw hanging from your license plate." What? What? I was like, oh, this is from the deep water. It wasn't too deep. It wasn't. It was, didn't get into the vehicle at all, but thank goodness I was in my truck. And it was the high water we had then actually ended up being deadly. There was at least one death that I saw, a gentleman who actually a person that went through some high water and didn't make it, quite unfortunately. But there was, some areas got 3 or 4 inches. According to one local report, we got 4 inches in my neighborhood in a very short period. But tonight, it was good. A big, heavy rain. I mean, a healthy amount of rain. And some wind. I could tell a couple of, there were leaves on the ground. You could see that there had been, some wind as it came in ahead of that. I wasn't out and about during the very beginning of that. But the planning was, everybody basically, when you live in Tornado Alley, and I really grew up in Tornado Alley, when you live in Tornado Alley, well, I spent a lot of years. I was, when we came back up to North Texas from Del Rio, when I was in high school, I mean, from that point on, it was, even when I was younger, we had family that lived in Tornado Alley and was affected by it. So severe weather really, really has to be top of mind. Well, I called my dad over the weekend. I, in fact, called them on Sunday to tell them happy anniversary. My parents celebrated 69 years of marriage yesterday. And we were talking, we talked about that for a while, talked about the weather, always talk about the weather because they were expecting that same system where they live a couple hours away. And now, looks like, at least for us where we are, looks like most of it is gone. It's just rain left. So, it's interesting looking at the dynamics of what's going on in L.A. with the riots and how it's being played out and what the left fights for. The left, how many times have we heard, how many people from the left have we heard in recent years that have said, in recent months, actually, that have said, we need to change what the party is doing. We need to change what the party is doing. And we said, no, the radicals aren't going to let you change. These 80-20 issues, and now after what's going on in L.A., this could be, as you mentioned, a 97-3 issue. The left isn't going to, the radical left isn't going to let you change on things like this. It doesn't matter. The border and the economy were the two main drivers, the two biggest drivers in the 24 election. And the left is proving once again, when it comes to illegal immigration, they're willing to fight. They're willing to fight for the rights of illegal criminal immigrants. That's what they're willing to do. And they put it on full display all the time. And the moment Trump gets involved, looking to rightfully protect the federal agents, they've got to blame everything on him. They tried this back with the riots several summers ago. Trump sending in his stormtroopers to kidnap people. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember, before the election, even after the election, Trump's going to round up gays and put them in concentration camps.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it's just to the point. Well, this one, by the way, we'll get back to more of the L.A. riots, but this one just got to me over the weekend. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has accused California Governor Gavin Newsome of threatening to commit tax evasion after he threatened to stop paying the over $80 billion in taxes the state pays to the federal government. Newsome's threat comes amid Trump's vow to impose large-scale fines on the state of California for allowing a biological male to compete in girls' sports and win multiple state titles. Newsome said on X, Californians pay the bills for the federal government. We pay over $80 billion more in taxes than we get back. Maybe it's time to cut that off. Well, number one, I don't know. Since income taxes are paid individually, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
We don't know how you cut that off. Apparently, he decided to get some Hollywood backing for this, so he's commissioned Wesley Snipes to take care of this entire situation.
Right, exactly.
Everybody follow him right into jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the state doesn't pay. Individuals pay. Will there be riots when the IRS now goes in? The IRS will go in to arrest people.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh, just great stuff. I just shake my head. It's just like, wow.
You know,
and then the Simone Biles thing over the weekend. That was like, what in God's world? Her going after Riley Gaines.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was.
Well,
and she got just pounded.
And it still boggles my brain that we have female athletes that want to fight for men's rights to compete in female sports. It's unreal. Just unreal. You know, but that's what you have here. You know, again, they think this is a new civil rights movement. They think the thing, to fight for, they were fighting before this riot in L.A. The left was fighting to bring back a gang member, somebody who had been deported. Well, they got their wish, but is being brought back to face charges on human trafficking. You know, and all the headlines over the weekend about that. The Maryland man who was wrongly deported.
You're just not good. Now, as but as we did say, if the Trump administration wanted him back then, he would have come back.
Oh, yeah.
Because the reason he came back is because the Department of Justice requested he come back.
Right.
So
to face human trafficking charges.
Yes. But, yeah, I mean, it's like when I saw that, I'm like, you're not going to win this, Democrats.
Well
you're going to try to win it. Win it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm caught between the radical transgender movement and illegal immigration here,
right.
The insanity of both of these. But go ahead.
Well, but, again, here's somebody who's suspected of human trafficking, and the left is willing to fight for the guy's rights. For what? Are they? Here's what it is next. Well, human trafficking is only one way of bringing people here to a country where they belong to be if they want to be. How far do they go in the excuse making? Overwhelmingly peaceful, Kamala Harris says about the riots. Overwhelmingly. Like people are walking around going, my gosh, I can't believe how peaceful the protests are. Well, never mind the attacking of the federal agents. Well, never mind that he's suspected of human trafficking. Human trafficking is just bringing people here to have a better life. That's all that is. They've lost their minds. These are the things they fight for. These are the things they're willing to riot over. This is who they are. Add to it, post-October 7th, the very loud anti-Semitism that goes on and the targeting of Jews all over.
I know. I mean, these are the positions that the Democrats are taking.
Yes.
This weekend again was that sense of awe, but it's what I call perverted awe.
It's so weird.
It's a sense of perversion of awe. Like, I can't believe they're doing it. I can't believe they're doing this again, and they're doing this again, and they're doing this again. And then when I saw the one representative from California say Trump is just doing this because he hates peaceful protest, and they've got a double screen on CNN, and it's showing the riots going on and the guys on the motorcycle with the Mexican flag driving around the burning vehicle.
Right.
And she's saying because Trump doesn't want the public to see peaceful protesting. You're like, you can't make this stuff up. It's like I'm reading The Babylon Bee is completely useless now.
Exactly.
They're completely sorry, Babylon Bee. You're useless
turn
now.
the lights out. You had a good run.
Yeah.
It's over.
Because reality has become a parody.
No, it is. It's the weirdest movie. The weirdest movie. Think about this. If they made this movie, it would be like, oh man, that was like Donnie Darko weird.
I know. 866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning, as always. So I just love it. Treasury Secretary quotes Breitbart accuses Gavin Newsome of encouraging criminal tax evasion. I just love that story, though, because, you know, Newsome, that was just an off the emotional response. But there's no way that could happen to begin with because income taxes are paid individually. But I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you come after us, and we'll get more to the radical transgender movement because that hit big time. Just reading here, Simone Biles, what she had to say, and it was like, wow.
Well, I mean that's this is Newsome again trying to play tough guy. Oh yeah, we'll do things that don't even apply. I mean, it's just bizarre.
I know.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go to this one because I love this argument going on. You think that what if somebody tried to use this argument on January 6th? Well, you would think with everything going on that they would say that this protest is going on all across America. It's really in just a concentrated place of just in the capital. It's a very, very small, and the impression you get is that it's all over the entire country, and it's not. Would anybody have bought that excuse?
No.
Here's Brian Stelter on CNN. Okay, here we go.
Look, on one level, protests are always about images, about spectacle. You might even say it's about theater. And we are seeing that play out in LA. And I think it's valuable to have that perspective as we see some of these pictures, especially as we zoom out and we recognize that the unrest is isolated, is not overtaking the entire city of LA. LA is home to millions of people, most of whom are having a normal day here on Sunday.
Well, that's you're telling us the obvious.
Yeah, right.
We know it's not every neighborhood and every street in L.A.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
Thank you, Brian.
Well, think about this in covering wildfires. The overwhelming majority of California is fine. I don't know what people are screaming about. I don't know why people are in distress. Don't these people who are losing their homes know that you don't represent the majority?
Remember the
wow.
Because back to the 90s, I think. Remember that bank robbery when they had the guys with the guns shooting? I mean, they're gone for the longest time.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Right.
We don't know. You need to keep this in perspective. It's only one bank, and it's only a couple of people with automatic weapons that have body armor on that are shooting against cops. I mean, so understand that this is an isolated. Look, it's only
place in one small area.
Look, it's only one school shooting.
Right.
You know how many schools? There are thousands upon thousands of schools. And today we're not talking about all the safe schools out there. We're only talking and focusing on creating fear of what's happening at that one school.
Right.
Think you get away with any of that? No.
Probably not.
No.
I don't know why this is all in the news. My gosh, this severe weather was only in this one part of the country.
And that's, I guess, what gets to me is the fact that you're so wrong on the issue, and there seems to be no way of resetting your argument. You don't know how to reset the argument because you're so wrong on the issues.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... it really is.
And then hearing Mayor Bass, we are resilient, we are strong, we will not bend the knee to the administration trying to sow chaos and division. You're bending your knee to the criminals.
Right.
To the criminal illegal. You're saying to hell with the citizens of our city. We would rather protect and ensure that criminal illegal immigrants are allowed to run free in our city. Stop with this. We're resilient. We're strong. You're crumbling to the criminal.
Well, that's it. That's when they talk about that. And Kamala Harris says, our rights. What do you mean, our rights? You're talking about people who are non-citizens. What? Their rights. That's who you're fighting for. When Mayor Bass says this, sowing division between who?
Between law and order and the people that want to ensure that criminals, illegal immigrant criminals, run free in our city. Don't sow division between the law-abiding citizen and the criminal illegal immigrant. Don't do that. That's wrong.
The long-running Law and Order TV show was all about sowing division. How dare you go after these criminals?
And then they sowed division, then they had cocktails afterwards.
That's right.
In the prosecutor's office.
Exactly.
And it wasn't wine or beer, it was hard liquor.
It was hard liquor in the desk of the prosecutor. Man, they just need to have a bar that's filled with desks. Lawyers' desks, prosecutors' desks. It honestly, again, is the clear sign that the left is not going to change.
No, they're not going to change at all.
When people like James Carville, what the hell is going on?
Oh my gosh, though. We never covered. Remember, he went off. Did you see that on the rich Jews last week?
Oh,
I mean, this was as anti-Semitic as you could get.
No,
I forgot it. We got so busy with other stuff. I'm glad you brought that. It's like, what the, Mary? You need to take his microphone away from him.
Yeah, no, there is something.
There's something
seriously
he's
going on with him.
He's losing it completely.
And he's complaining about the party and some of the radicalism, and then saying it, a day or two later, oh, I'd vote for AOC. This AOC is the one who came out after the healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was murdered in cold blood. She came out and said, well, you need to understand that people, if they have their claims denied, they see that as an act of violence, therefore justifying the murder of Brian Thompson. And he says he'll vote for her. You helped to create all this, Carville, so I don't know what's going on with you, but you're just as radical as anybody else on the left.
So this is This came out, what time did this come out? Okay, 10:30 last night. City of Glendale, California. After careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security, ICE, to house federal immigration detainees. This local decision reflects our core values of public safety, transparency, and community trust. And
Wow.
one of the first comments, this is just, we believe in public safety, so we're not going to help detain the criminals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just crazy. They're absolutely nuts.
Yep. Just insane.
And then here's the actual proclamation. After careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with the U.S. Homeland Security, ICE, to house federal immigration detainees. The local decision reflects our core values, public safety, transparency, and community trust. The Glendale Police Department does not enforce immigration laws and remains fully compliant with SB 54. Our focus remains in serving Glendale residents and businesses while preserving it as one of the safest cities in the nation by ensuring that illegal immigrant criminals can run our streets free.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
They're not even trying to connect any
Nope.
dots of logic or critical thinking anymore, are they?
No.
Nope.
Nope, they're not. Just
It's
just insane.
Just going through some of the because the funny thing is 99% of the comments are negative.
Yeah.
The city of Glendale. It's
Right,
a million
right.
views already.
Wow.
This does not reflect the values of those law-abiding people who call Glendale home. Shame on you guys for not protecting your citizens. Now you'll have more ICE agents in your community and more collateral arrests.
Yep.
Translation: we live in a world of trade-offs and are willing to defend illegal criminal residents at the expense of our legal ones.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every single one, pull every single penny of federal money that your city receives. If you're sane, move out of Glendale now. I mean, it's just on and on and on. Glendale used to be such a decent place to live. No problem, defund Glendale Police Department. You've caved to a foreign power. These are all, I'm just going down through it. There's one that says, good. Okay, somebody actually agreed with them. So the protesters got you. Never mind public safety or trust. Corruption runs rampant in California. Treason, turncoats. Wow. All states agreed to join the union. All states should be required to uphold the federal law, period. Wow. So it's like probably 9 out of 10. And remember, this would be the city of Glendale, which means most people, I got to see it because we've all got to see it because it got so many views.
Yeah.
That it started trending.
Yeah, right. It's, again,
They're absolutely crazy. Absolutely nuts.
And this is their fight.
This is This is where the Democratic Party is.
We were talking about it on a number of issues. What they're legally fighting for is insane, and it's, again, it may not even be 80-20 anymore. It might be 97-3. On those issues, they don't win and they don't care. This is why California is where California is. This is why you've got more and more people wanting to leave that state. More and more people are leaving that state. Companies are leaving that state because they can't do business under liberal policy, including things like this. Remember when it was going on where in San Francisco, you had retailers saying, look, we'd love to stay, but you're not protecting our citizens, which means you're not protecting our employees when they're coming and to work and going home. It's not safe for our employees to work in these areas.
What I loved yesterday was this comment. Illegal immigrants riot, throw rocks and Molotov cocktails, burn cars, and wave the flag of a country they don't want to go back to in an effort to prove they belong here.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that's the there's just seriously, it's like every Democrat is on a hallucinogen which takes away any type of critical thinking, self-awareness, reality.
Yep. Well, if you're here, think about this. If you're here illegally, and you know you've got the support of people like Gavin Newsome and Mayor Bass, you're empowered to do that.
Well, you're empowered to, as an illegal immigrant to commit a crime.
Yes, exactly. You're empowered to do exactly what we're seeing being done.
Right. They're encouraging you. They're enabling
Right.
you.
We're going to protect you.
They're communicating to you.
We want to send Trump home.
Right. Not only come here, but commit a crime, and we will protect you.
You belong here. The federal agents don't belong here.
Right.
That's their stance. That's what they're fighting for.
And after losing that in a slam dunk way last year, they're now doubling down on it.
Right. Yep.
I don't get it.
No, I don't either.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Can we just move 24 hours ahead so I can play the Scott Jennings roundtable?
Right.
CNN
However that's going to play out.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, there are cases where reality sets in for the left. And then on some things, they come back with what should have happened in the beginning, and that is, maybe this wasn't a good look. Maybe this was bad. If you want to compare apples to apples, the L.A. fires and how it was totally bungled in terms of the response by leadership, not the firefighters, but the leadership of California, including Mayor Bass and Governor Newsome. And the left came back and, oh, yeah, well, that didn't go too well. They often come back and have to eat it. I don't know that that's going to happen in this case. I really don't. You'll probably see them, though, in the next few days trying to walk that line. But we've already seen overwhelmingly peaceful protesters. BS. We've already seen that garbage. And that's not going to, with some of them, it's not going to change. But the response by the people is what measures everything and how they're going to respond in the next few days, or maybe reshape the conversation on the left over something like this. It's not going to change what Newsom does. It's not going to change what Mayor Bass does. But in the media, they kind of have to regroup and go, yeah, well, people aren't buying this. We'll see if it happens here.
Well, when I started seeing that over the weekend, they actually used mostly peaceful.
No, they did.
And
yeah.
immediately,
yeah,
because that was so ingrained into pop culture, when someone says mostly peaceful, if you have any reporter saying mostly peaceful, what's the first thing people think of? there's a riot going on.
Yeah. If you say that, that means riot.
Right.
That's the new term for riot.
That's how ingrained that Democrats and liberals have been wanting to change the definition of phrases and words for the longest time. They didn't mean it for that, and that one in popular culture, if they said, and the reporter said, quote, mostly peaceful protest, everybody burst out laughing.
Right.
Why? Because they know what it means. When a legacy media person says that, that means, oh, there's riots going on.
Yeah. No, that's the Baghdad Bobism, you know?
Yeah. It's
because that terminology was just viral back in the day, which turned it immediately into, okay, that translates into riots. That translates into things are on fire and out of control. and also the turning on Trump, it didn't work back then.
no. For Tim Walz, it is talking in code. When you say mostly peaceful,
right?
That's Tim.
That is code.
That's code,
right? Right.
It means there's a hell of a lot of violence going on here if it's mostly peaceful,
right? There's another thing. When are we going to hear anything about a permission structure sometime today? Well, you see, this is Mayor Bass is the permission structure for destruction.
No. Trump is the permission structure.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
For all the violence.
Yeah.
You're looking at it wrong here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which means you're looking at it right.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And this is another beautiful one here. This is California Representative Judy Chu, who says the LAPD has everything under control.
Oh, my
This
gosh.
is on MSNBC. It's playing on a split screen.
Right.
You've got all these cars, but it's from a helicopter shot. It looks like a bomb has exploded. There's all these fires going on. And I mean, it's just, and this is on MSNBC as she's saying this.
You have outliers that throw things and cause damage. And so, yes, the LAPD came in and they called it an unlawful assembly. I believe that the LAPD has this underhand, and they are very, very experienced in riot control.
But as she's saying this, everything's on. I mean,
it's underhand.
The helicopter's flying. All you see is smoke. You can't even see the streets. You see some of the fires. The smoke is so thick, and this is on MSNBC.
Clearly out of hand, not underhand.
No,
they have this underhand.
My God.
Yeah.
Let's head to you. We go to Mark in California. Mark, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi, guys. I've been listening to the absurdity, and Representative Chu just really drives this home. But for a while now, I've been thinking, I know I've seen all this absurdity someplace else and going around, and it finally dawned on me where I've been, and it's like we're living the pages of the book 1984. And I'm serious. And it's amazing. Winston, the main character, has an estranged wife, Catherine, and he describes her as having a very noble appearance, except that he discovered that there was as nearly nothing as possible, nothing behind it. Very early in their marriage, he had noticed that she had, without exception, the most stupid, vulgar, empty mind that he had ever encountered. She had not a thought in her head that was not a slogan, and there was no imbecility, absolutely none, that she was not capable of swallowing if the party handed it out to her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. Yep.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's like you could have swapped the name Catherine there for Representative Chu.
Well, and I remember this. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We're only interested solely in power, pure power. Power is not a means; it is an end.
Yeah,
and
an
you know,
end,
and that's what
exactly.
you're
assumed that.
But power
It was assumed. It was to be assumed that they were seeking power for benevolence, but the truth was, and the O'Brien admits it. It's power for power.
Yeah, it's just power for the sake of power. Certainly. And something that they have been trying to do on every level, and we've seen that.
Oh, yeah.
And now you see it. And that's why, and we call it gaslighting. Great thoughts, Mark. We greatly appreciate your comments. We call it gaslighting, but in their mind, they're really trying to do the Jedi mind trick. There's nothing going on here. The police have it underhand. It's okay. Everything is fire. I mean, fine. Did I say fire? I mean, fine. This is it's like they believe they can just keep repeating it. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
I figured it out.
And people will think that.
I figured it all out.
Yeah?
Yep. What happened was, since Karine Jean-Pierre now has stepped down from being a Democrat, you know exactly where I'm going. I love it when you start laughing. Before, with you, I don't even have to get to the punchline.
Yeah,
I don't have to get to the
punchline. This is it.
As soon as I said Karine Jean-Pierre, I never had to get to the punchline, did I?
Yeah.
Everybody knew. You know, all these other Democrats saying, well, let us take over. If she's not around to gaslight anymore, let's create scenes. I want to be the congresswoman, because we've had 2 Democratic congresswomen now, to sit there and say that Trump is afraid of the peaceful protest and the situation is under control as the city burns behind us in the split screen.
Right. Well, this is really turning into Game of Thrones. Think about it. You know, the gaslight queen has left. What do you mean the gaslight queen has left? She is no more. Someone shall gaslight. Someone shall gaslight. Beware of President Trump. He has a giant. Yes, Barron is a giant.
The fact that you just did that,
I mean,
which relates to Game of Thrones,
yeah,
impressed me and worried me at the same time.
It is really bothersome. As I was saying it, part of my brain was going, oh, crap. And that's exactly it. You know, it really is. They've got to step into that role. The gaslighting is imperative, but now it has to be on every level. Look, come on, everything's fine. Everything is fine. Your tire has 1 3-inch hole in it. The rest of your tire is fine. It's okay. Keep going. What are you complaining about?
Your house is fine. Only the kitchen is burning right now.
That's right. You're in the bedroom. Why are you complaining about the entire kitchen being engulfed in flames?
Let's go to Bill in L.A. Bill, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi, Bill.
Hey, guys. Hey, you guys mentioned Glendale going along with a sanctuary routine, and I happen to have grown up in Glendale, which is a very middle-of-the-road, leaning right city when I grew up there and went to school. And I'm saddened to hear that they've seceded from the Union and joined Gavin Newsome's Confederacy of Sanctuary Cities. But as a former newspaper reporter, I'm stunned, and I probably shouldn't be, but the spin doctoring that the local media, even on the radio, especially on the radio, is doing, it's just amazing. They're only interviewing anti-Trump people like Bass and the aforementioned Chu, County Supervisor Janice Hahn. And you're getting no balance, no even attempt to get a counter statement from any Republicans or anybody with any sanity to say, hey, the federal agents have a right to protect themselves. And there's no mention by any of the announcers that, hey, you know, the Article 6 of the Constitution has this thing called the Supremacy Clause that requires executives like Mayor Bass and state legislators and everybody else in the government to follow federal law. And these announcers are all indignant. And they're even asking Senator Padilla, how can we stop this? One of the announcers said that. So they're in league with these nutcases that want to secede from the Union.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because, as we've always said, and thanks so much for your call.
Thanks,
when
Bill.
it comes down to it, they're not reporters; they're political activists.
Well, they are, and again, I go back to the time I mentioned that to Sean Spicer. This is after he was at the White House, but still also during Trump's first term, and he said, I've never heard it phrased that way, and I don't know if we coined that phrase or not. It's being widely used. And I know a lot of people have said it over the years, but I think, in fact, he has said that on the podcast that he appears on with Mark Halperin. I think he said that a couple of times now. Now you have, again, it is very clear in the media that there are only a handful of journalists out there. The actual journalists that are out there, we talk about in reporting things like this, the story we're talking about today. And illegal immigration in general. Bill Maluzhin has really done a very good job. But then on other items, the people that were part of the Twitter files, Barry Weiss, Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, these individuals who believe in getting the information, the true information, the truth to the people. And, Bill makes a point, the caller makes a point about going out and talking to people. Where are the citizens, at least, that are greatly concerned about the violence? We asked this, during the protests years ago and during the riots, and they were setting things on fire. And, when cities were carving out areas, city leaders were carving out areas where they could, we'll just have this, what was it, Chaz, whatever they called it, this little zone where they can just have.
God.
It was so horrible, and people were getting hurt, property was getting destroyed. And, we thought, well, where are the locals?
The summer of love.
The summer of love.
Remember that?
If you love to riot, you're going to love this. I mean, that's really the only answer to that. And where are the locals? We asked then, and I would ask here, where are the locals that are saying this is enough? We cannot tolerate this. The governor should have done something about this long. Mayor Bass should have done something about this long before it got to this point. This isn't Trump's fault. Trump is looking to protect, as he should, the federal agents who are out there doing the job they're sworn to do.
It was interesting because I forgot his name now. Our first caller that we had at the bottom of the hour, he was talking about Animal House. I'm thinking of Animal Farm.
Yeah,
1984.
Right.
The book and power not to do benevolent things. Not selling it by we're being benevolent, but power just for the sake of having power. Mm-hmm. Exactly what they accused Trump of. But when Trump talks about exerting the power that he believes he has, it actually is for specific things that the public can recognize immediately as being something that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it, I'm looking here from Newsweek. I just wanted to see if there's any polls. This is a May article, but it refers to a February poll in California about illegal immigrants and Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after Newsome, who apparently said, he cares and wants to roll back the state-funded health coverage for illegal immigrants after promising universal health care for all, but they did the polling on it. Polling that was done earlier this year showed that 60% of Californians think illegal immigrants, this is California residents now, living in America should not be provided with taxpayer-funded health care. 72% of the citizens of California polled believe illegal immigration is harmful to the country.
Yeah.
This comes after a Politico UC Berkeley Center survey conducted in April among registered voters found that only 21% of California voters support continuing Medicaid coverage for undocumented immigrants, even if it means cutting other programs. Another 32% back the program but want legal residents prioritized if cuts are needed. Meanwhile, 31% say the state should never have extended Medicaid to undocumented immigrants, and 17% support partially or fully reversing the policy.
Mm-hmm.
So you see only 21% support continuing Medicaid coverage for undocumented, for illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
So there you go. And that's California.
Yeah.
So, the local news may be doing it, but that's out of a sense of desperation. You cannot beat. People now get their news. They don't get their news from the media anymore.
No, they don't.
The legacy media.
They don't.
They get their news from social media.
Yep.
And a significant portion get it from X and Karen Bass, Gavin Newsome, any of the Democratic Congress people that have spoke up on this and are trying to blame Trump. They're getting eviscerated.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed
Yep.
on social media for their takes.
Yep, they are. Yeah.
And that's because there's no logic to it at all.
Right.
Absolutely no logic.
Right.
And so they want to continue on this. Fine. Will the bias be there in the media? Of course it will be in the legacy media. They're not going to stop it because they're not journalists. They're political activists.
Right.
But luckily, the public has recognized that now.
Yep.
And really, 2024 was the first time that I never heard, even before the election, the media is going to win this for Trump or for Harris.
Yeah.
Never heard that.
No.
Because people now understand you don't get it from newspapers anymore.
Nope.
Social media does it, and they're just, the Democrats and the liberals are getting destroyed on social media over these riots in L.A. and trying to blame them on Trump.
Right.
The gaslighting is just through the roof, and the public recognizes it.
Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And all the other stuff that happened over the weekend.
And
we'll get to.
also, and another thing.
Coming up following the top of the hour.
Yeah. It's insane.
It really is. By the time I got to Saturday, I was like,
yeah.
I was going between the insanity of what the politicians were saying and all the weather people on YouTube, the independent weather people, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, I always look at it, I go, God, it'd be great to be a storm chaser. No, it would suck because you do nothing 99% of the time.
Oh, man, when it gets, in non-storm season, there's not a lot going on.
Yeah. But when there's storms, it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Except, I don't want to die that way.
Yeah, the danger part of it, not as appealing.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. You see, the Israeli military got the Greta Thunberg boat, and diverted it to Israel. Here's this report. This is from Sky News. Okay, what do they plan on doing with Greta now? All right, here we go.
Well, this is Ashdod, which is the major port in Israel, huge port in the eastern Mediterranean. This is where the yacht, which has Greta Thunberg, a French MEP, and 10 other activists on, this is where they're going to be bringing them to before they are deported from here. The Israeli military elite naval commander unit intercepted it around 3 a.m. this morning. They boarded the yacht. It was all done pretty peacefully from what we can gather. There's been photos and videos put out on social media by the Israeli Foreign Ministry showing soldiers handing out sandwiches and water to those on board and saying that they'll be brought in here. So they intercepted them before they could breach the blockade of Gaza, the naval blockade of Gaza, which has been in place by the Israelis for many, many years. I think there was a question mark over where exactly they were intercepted, whether or not it was in international waters or within Israeli-controlled waters. But they'll be brought here, and on the instructions of the defense minister, they'll be made to watch the 43-minute video that the Israeli government put together following October the 7th, which is kind of very raw, uncensored footage of October the 7th.
Good.
Yeah.
So the Israeli military will show Greta Thunberg and other activist footage of the October 7th attacks.
Yeah.
Interesting how she went from climate change to terrorist supporter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there like some kind of direct line? We've been talking about connecting the dots. Is there some kind of dot you connect?
Well,
to go from climate change to terrorist supporter?
It's where the liberal left is. It's any cause, every cause. And she's going to be the voice of liberalism. That's what she thinks. And she's mindless, clueless, thoughtless. And clearly now, if she's going to promote her support for Hamas, if that's indeed who she is, she's an anti-Semite.
So, by the way, that's Sky News. And you know what they have? They've got dual screens. The other screen, just all you see are fires burning, and it says L.A. protests.
Yeah.
That's what you see on the one next to the Greta Thunberg story on Sky News.
Right.
All right, I'm going to play this because this gets to the whole bringing back Garcia and still referring to him as a Maryland man, as you saw that in the media.
Yeah.
And this
Maryland man.
This is Mark Halperin. Now, it's a little long, but it's worth it because let me just play it. I don't
right.
I'm not even going to try to describe it.
Okay.
All I know is I got through a minute of it and I was dying laughing. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So I was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And when I was about 1, I moved to Bethesda, Maryland. And from the time I was 1 to the time I went to college, I lived in Bethesda, Maryland. And had I stayed and continued to live in Bethesda, Maryland, and someone had written about me in the New York Times, the Washington Post, or Axios, and they had referred to me as a Maryland man, that would have made a lot of sense to me. Grew up now I was born in Cambridge, so you could say I'm a Cambridge baby. But really, as I grew to manhood, I was a Maryland man. And as I tweeted just a little while ago, let's say I grew up in Cleveland, lived in Cleveland as a boy, and then at some point in my 20s, I illegally went over the border of Russia. And I moved to Moscow, and I set up in Moscow, and the authorities accused me of committing various crimes around Russia, using Moscow as my home base. If the Russian media were going to write about me under those circumstances, I can tell you without any doubt they would not refer to me as a Moscow man. They just wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. I came illegally to Russia, and I lived in Moscow, but I would not be a Moscow man. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is now back in the United States, and we'll tell you all about why and what's happening. But for some reason, I just cannot get over the news alerts that I received today from the Washington Post, the New York Times, Axios, CNBC.
Yeah.
All referred to him in the headline as a Maryland man.
Yeah.
I just this matter, which we've talked about here at some length, there's a lot of really important issues that it implicates. The questions of what are the due process rights the United States should give and does give to people in this country illegally, and to those in this country illegally who are accused of crimes, particularly violent crimes. Incredibly interesting question. Balancing, we've been since the founding of the Republic, national security and civil liberties. Then the issue of adherence to court orders, because the judge said to the administration, and the Supreme Court ruled also in a little ambiguous ruling, you got to try to bring him back. And until today, they didn't, or at least they didn't successfully bring him back. So that's separation of powers issue, very important, very lofty. Then there's the question of understanding through journalism and government action what someone in this country has done. no dispute that he came to this country legally. So for many Americans, that's enough. He could have come to this country legally and set up an orphanage and a donut factory and donated all of his proceeds from the donut factory to the orphanage, and he'd still be in this country illegally and should be deported, according to tens of millions of us. But that's not what this guy did. He did not fund an orphanage. And so I'm not even saying all the things that are cross-cutting here and important, lofty issues, but I just cannot believe that after this debate we went through about this guy and what we now know about his history, and on the day he was indicted for horrible crimes, which we'll listen to, it's just mind-boggling. I cannot believe that there are decision makers in news organizations who, for many years, have been insensitive to the point of view of tens of millions of Americans who elected the president in the last election, who are fed up with a press that doesn't understand that constitutional and national crisis of having an open border, that these news decision makers would still refer to this guy as a Maryland man. For some reason, it's driven me a little bonkers.
It doesn't drive us bonkers anymore because we understand.
Yep.
Mark, they're not journalists.
No,
they're political activists.
It's by design. It is their intent is to grab the deliberately mindful, deliberately willfully ignorant. I said mindful, mindless. The willfully ignorant people see the headline, oh, this guy was a citizen. This guy was a citizen of Maryland. You know, I think somebody's already done it. I don't know how, I can't remember how far it went. But using the word citizen for illegals. We're all citizens of the world. They're a citizen, just like you are. It doesn't work that way. But that's what they try to do. This is how they have tried to control thought for the longest time. Now, the difference is, in today's world, the media doesn't have that control. The legacy media is on their deathbed for a reason. For a number of reasons, technology has changed. But also, they weren't willing ever, didn't care about at all finding the truth. They weren't willing to go out and find the truth for people. And that's what journalism is. Journalism, as I've said many times before, plays an essential role in a free society. True journalism, finding the truth. It may not always be the truth that you like. You may find something, if it is the truth, about someone or a group of someone's that you didn't know, but it's the truth, and you don't like it being the truth, but the truth doesn't care about anything else. It's always just the truth. Activism requires people to lie. Activism requires people to paint a very different picture. And what they want when they use phrases like Maryland man is you to believe that this is some guy who's a citizen. He's just out in his backyard cooking dogs and burgers. And all of a sudden, Trump decides he's going to, and they put in their wrongfully deported Maryland man. I saw that one. They want you to believe, they want the willfully ignorant to think in their mind, this is how they get people riled up. This is how they get people protesting to the extent of bringing him back. Not bringing him back to face justice, by the way, bringing him back to Maryland where he belongs with his family.
Well, it's, as we said before, and this really, we had it after the Mueller investigation. And that's when you had conservative and Republican politicians saying, now we hope the media learned a lesson here, because, we found out that Trump wasn't involved in any Russia collusion. In fact, the whole Russia collusion thing came from Hillary Clinton. She tried to set him up. She did set him up, in fact, but there was no Russia collusion. Trump did not collude with the Russians in 2016, a complete lie that was fabricated, paid for by the Republican Party using a Russian national, Igor Danchenko. The only people that used a Russian in 2016 were the Democrats. But you had Republicans and conservatives saying, we hope they learn their lesson. And we said, stop it. Stop it. They didn't learn any lesson. There's no lesson to be learned.
Yep.
They're political activists. Political activists feel no shame if they get caught in the lie. They just move on to the next piece of propaganda or the next lie. You and I don't deal with it. And I mean you and I mean you, me, our audience. We look at it and go, well, I really don't have any type of arguments on something that's untrue. I only have an argument on something that's true.
Right.
I have an opinion on something that's true. I have no opinions on anything that isn't true.
Right.
And if I'm not sure it isn't true, I'll tell you, well, if it is true, this would be my opinion. But if it isn't true, there is no opinion.
Right.
And if you get something wrong, if I get something wrong, I feel a little bit of shame. When I first got into talk radio, I'll never forget thinking that. If I get something wrong, God, it'd be so shameful to be wrong on something that's so obvious.
Right. Yeah.
Because, we want to be, I think regular people want to argue what the truth is. They don't want to be bothered. Who's got time to argue a lie? They do, because that's their profession. They're political activists. They lie for a living. That's what they do. They just want to hopefully move a narrative in a particular direction. Now, it failed them in 2024. It doesn't matter. They just continue it again. That's why you see with the riots in L.A., trying to blame Trump on it. They haven't changed at all because they have nowhere else to go. They're political activists, and there's no other argument that they can use except the failed arguments they've tried already.
Right.
But there's no shame. They don't feel shame, so stop trying to shame them. You can't shame somebody for doing their job.
Right.
And they know their job is not being a journalist.
Right.
Anybody who says Maryland man is not a journalist.
No. They're trying to reshape the narrative.
They're a political activist.
Right.
And so you saying, I'm shocked by it, it's not going to stop them.
No.
It's going to go, I'm glad I'm ticked them off as we continue to lie, because that's what we do as political activists.
Right. There's a reason you see it everywhere. There's a reason. And it's not this grand conspiracy. It's a similar mindset, which is much more dangerous. They don't have to contact each other to make these things happen. Their mindset puts that into motion clearly all the time without any effort of them having to communicate with each other on that effort.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. At a roadside inspection, inspectors may ask to see supporting documents. A supporting document is a document generated or received by a motor carrier in the normal course of business that can be used by law enforcement to verify a driver's logs. These documents can include bills of lading, itineraries, schedules, or equivalent documents that indicate the origin and destination of each trip. They can also include dispatch or trip records, expense receipts related to on-duty/not driving periods, including receipts for meals, lodging, and fuel, electronic mobile communication transmitted through a fleet management system, and payroll records, settlement sheets, or equivalent documents that indicate payment to a driver. Drivers using paper logs must also keep toll receipts. Supporting documents must contain the driver's name, carrier-assigned identification number or vehicle unit number that can be linked to the driver, the date, the name of the nearest city, town, or village, and the time. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Try Radio, he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I got a question just going back to the whole Greta Thunberg thing.
All right.
How much does she get paid? I was thinking that over the weekend. How much does somebody like her get paid, and who pays her? Because she's old enough now to have a job. This isn't like when she was a teen.
Well, we know that there's so much money that goes into the organization of riots, protests, and all those things. I mean, a ton of money that goes into that. But when you have someone who can get the headlines for you, I don't know, it has to be a pretty penny. It has to be. I mean,
does it come straight from Iran?
Well, in this case, why not, right? I mean, or indirectly from Iran.
Well, you're following the money, right?
Yeah.
You're supporting Hamas.
Right.
So to question where your money comes from is not out of line.
You're going to get some global attention. Wow.
The thought just entered my head. That's all.
Well, the thing is you could say selling her soul, but no, her soul's already there. She already believes these things. These are things she believes in. So she's
the best salesperson.
Yeah.
Or the worst.
Exactly. She's more the mindset of, well, I'm promoting it anyway. But if you're going to pay for me to be on a yacht to head over there, then why not? That's a good question. I would guess it's a lot of money. It's plenty of money to keep her in the business of being essentially a in this case a professional protester.
Or if you're always angry, do you need a lot of money?
Well,
are you driven by money? If you're always angry and think your life's going to end, I think, 4 years left?
Yeah.
I think she said 4 years ago there was 8 years left of the world.
Right. Yeah.
So she is 4. If she's actually buying the hype.
Well, she's also contributing to the end of the world because, as far as I know, that wasn't a sailboat she was on.
Well, it was, but they said they were using the diesel engine more than the sails.
Right, exactly. It was a diesel engine that wasn't a, wind-powered only boat. She wasn't on this small dinghy with a sail on it. Diesel-powered ship.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. All right, more news out there, just some other stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to the L.A. riots and the latest on that. Hunter Biden on Friday dropped a lawsuit against Fox News that accused a conservative network of unlawfully airing sexually explicit images of him. This is the second time Hunter Biden has filed and then voluntarily dismissed a lawsuit against Fox News. The case has stemmed from a 2022 digital miniseries that featured a dramatized mock trial against Hunter Biden about his overseas financial dealings. Lawyers for the former President Joe Biden's son claimed Fox News violated revenge porn laws and defamed him. They did not explain in court filings why they dropped the case, though they recently lost an effort to move the case from federal to New York State court. CNN has reached out to the Hunter Biden lawyers seeking comment. In a statement sent to CNN, the Fox News media spokesperson said, "We are pleased to move on now that Hunter Biden has voluntarily withdrawn the meritless case, which proves to be nothing more than a politically motivated stunt. The Fox series highlighted Hunter Biden's lucrative business deals with Ukraine and China, which he pursued when his father was vice president. It also delved into his admitted struggles with drug abuse and alcoholism. The program also featured some intimate images of Hunter Biden with various women, which appeared to originate from his laptop. So there you go.
Well, I'll say this. While I did not and wouldn't ever sue Fox News over it, I did want them to stop also with the explicit photos of Hunter Biden for a different reason.
Yes, I would agree with you.
Please not do that.
I think it was.
We get it. You just report the news. You report, I'll decide. How about that?
It was completely uncalled for. We didn't need to see half-naked photos of Hunter Biden.
Don't need that of any of the Bidens. None.
Yes,
none of them.
We are against murder and any naked Bidens.
That's it.
We take a strong stand there.
No more naked Bidens is what we're saying. People just waking up.
But
hey,
what's
what's going
like
on with Red Eye Radio? No more naked Bidens. What?
And you will not see us like Rick Springfield, 70-something-year-old Rick Springfield, up there singing shirtless.
Well, truth is, he forgot his shirt.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay.
He looks down. Oh, crap. Oh, sorry, folks. I was in a hurry.
Someone I posted, I don't know whether it was AI or whatever, but it looked horrible. Next to it, they posted a picture of a old Iggy Pop with his shirt off, and it didn't look good.
No,
it didn't.
No,
I don't.
But here's the thing, though. Iggy Pop has never owned a shirt, so there's a difference. There's a very clear difference.
I don't think any picture was worse than the one that was taken about 10 years ago of Schwarzenegger on the beach. Remember that one?
I remember the time that I was walking on the beach there, and was just minding my own business and didn't have a shirt. And I was thinking, why is the big deal? You know, men walk around without a shirt all the time. If you watch the TV show Cops, is that nobody's wearing a shirt?
I don't know what it was, but Arnold saying TV show Cops made me laugh. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was, I know what it was. It was the syntax.
Well, it was, it's just like the theme song. It's just bad boys, what you going to do? What you going to do when they come for you? Then all of a sudden you take your shirt off at the beach where you're supposed to take your shirt off, and then everyone goes crazy. I don't know what it is.
Oh, wow.
Now go in there. There's a shirtless man in there. Calm down. It's at the beach.
And and I think I led this charge because I did live on the beach for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And
living on had a home. You just spent a lot of time on the beach.
Yes, I had a home.
The beach.
Yes, I had a home on the beach.
Yes, yeah. You didn't actually.
But I witnessed a lot of what happens on the beach, and what I learned from my experience.
Yeah.
Is that that we are an ugly species.
Well,
there are some attractive one, but I think what did Seinfeld say? What percent of the human population is dateable?
No, like 1% or something.
It was like I don't think it was over 5%.
Yeah.
But no, and I'm not in any way putting myself or you on any type of pedestal above anybody else. I want to make this clear.
No.
I would include that. But so when it really came out a few years back to let women go topless, I led the charge that men should put their tops back on.
I don't even take my shirt off to take a shower.
Yeah,
that's how bad it is. I don't need to see it. You don't need to see it. Nobody needs to see it.
We are an ugly species.
Yeah.
The vast majority of we mutts.
Well,
we're not attractive.
I was happy when the trend started. The very lightweight summer shirts that you wear that are long sleeve. It's like, okay, now we're thinking properly. Yeah, it protects you from the sun, but it protects the public from seeing some things they shouldn't be seeing. You got when you get old, you got the saggy arms there, and your biceps.
You don't want to.
They don't even look the same anymore.
And you just wear a baggy shirt. You don't want to deal with a man's ear or a bro.
Don't. Yeah, it was.
Right.
What was Nate Bargatze, the comedian, had a bit on that, and he was talking about the Under Armour shirts, that are so tight. It's just this shirt shows more than it would if I didn't have a shirt on at all. It's like. That's not what you want at all. It's got to have a little room. Don't make it form-fitting. Yeah, and can we stop with the skinny jeans? That should have stopped a long time ago. There's so many people clinging on to the skinny jeans where they really look like a cartoon character. So they're so top-heavy, and then they've just squeezed into these skinny jeans. Just because your ankles are skinny doesn't make you skinny.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm getting old and my body may not. I don't think I ever had the definition that some males had.
Well, at least Arnold, you could
now.
He at one point was
right.
He could take his shirt off and it meant something.
But now when I go out looking for clothes, I like something that's I say. You've got the Stevie Nicks version of this for a man.
Yeah, right.
Very big, very layered.
Instead of a moo-moo, a man-moo. You know what I mean?
Yes, a man-moo.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, I just
a man. I like that. A man-moo.
Let's look. If Gandalf the Grey can get away with it, then I should be able to get away a long flowing robe. Just a long, all the way to the ground.
But they were, what was it? 1,000 years ago, they were onto something.
No, they were.
Where
it was like, we don't need this to be.
Wear the robe.
Right.
I mean, isn't the worst thing you sit there and you buy a T-shirt or something and it just shrinks more and then you put it on and it forms to your body. You're like, well, this is really one of the most disgusting things I've ever looked at in the mirror, and it's me that I'm looking at this moment.
Well, yeah, that's
not a good thing.
That's when your old T-shirt thinks it's a compression sock. It starts squeezing in areas. It's not supposed to do that. You're not helping my circulation. You're ruining my possible dating chances.
We have a rule
if
here.
I'm single.
Compression only for ankles.
That's right. That's it.
Ankles and feet.
That's right.
Maybe
compression shirts? No.
Maybe for calves, but you can't be wearing shorts.
Right. Exactly.
You can't have the Cliff Clavin look.
No, you can't.
There's no mailmen shorts with white socks up to the knee.
Oh, no. You know what? I'm thinking about going that route. I'm thinking about going the full dress socks up to the knee and cargo shorts. Because I'm thinking to myself, because a while back, I don't know, this goes back several years for all of our longtime listeners, I thought about the one-piece short-sleeve leisure suit with the built-in, very wide belt. Because I'm thinking, life is so easy. You've got your shirt, your pants, and they're connected. They're right there together. You don't even have to go looking for. They're right on the same hanger. You just slip into it like a Batman outfit.
What is the guy? I can't think. What's the guy who was the main guy from Triumph?
Oh, Rick Emmett.
Rick Emmett.
Yeah,
I saw an interview with him, and they were talking. Remember, he had that white jumpsuit that he had.
Oh yeah.
And he talked about it. He had 3 of them.
Yeah.
He said that's all he wore.
Yeah.
Because it was so easy just to pack, and all he had to do was go back to the hotel room, and he could wash it in the sink, and then just hang it up.
Yeah.
He didn't even need anybody. He's on tour. It's like the thing's all sweaty. I just put it in the sink. I wash it. Everything else, I squeeze it out. I put it up on a hanger. Yeah. The thing doesn't wrinkle. It's back. I can wear it the next day.
Right.
And everybody said, wow, what a rock. He goes, it was completely, totally convenience.
Right. Wow. It's funny.
I couldn't believe I saw just the other day. He was on I think it was Beato's show.
Was he on with Beato?
Maybe I was one of them.
It's Rick Beato, Beato. Great,
Beato, yes.
Great follow on YouTube. You should watch it. If you're interested in music, you'll learn a lot from it. I also read where one of the members of Triumph could not join them. They had like I don't know what it was, an anniversary show they were going to do. Because Rick left the band at one point. They're a Canadian band, trio, and they had some hit songs. And Rick left the band. And then years later, they made up with their friendship, but Rick was still doing solo things. I didn't know that Phil X, who is the guitar player for Bon Jovi now, was a member of Triumph in '88 when Rick left. In the late '80s, early '90s, I don't know what, but in the early '90s, the band kind of called it quit. But Rick had left in '88, I think. But you know what that member of, and I forget which member it was, that said they were, because they did a show June 6th, which would have been Friday. And he said, well, I'm Canadian, and the Canadian healthcare system, it's great that it's free, but I had a long-term appointment set that I had to wait months for a specialist, and it happened to be on June 6th. It's the only reason I couldn't make the show. I wasn't refusing to be there, but I couldn't cancel this because it pertained to my health.
Wow.
And it was, I had this appointment set for a long, long time before I guess they planned the show. And it was on June 6th, and he could not reschedule that appointment because it would kick it down the road even further.
Well, I think it was because they'd asked him about it, Rick Emmett, about that suit, that white whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's because it became so well known. I think he wore it at the US Festival.
Oh, did he?
That's where they really That's where they really came to the forefront.
Because
they got a gig at the US Festival, and people went, whoa.
Yeah, right.
Like they kicked off, I think, Heavy Metal Day or something.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't consider them heavy metal.
Yeah, no, not so much, but yeah.
They were more prog rock than they were heavy metal. But
pretty much, yeah.
But
so I want the full.
So we get back to clothes, right?
Yeah, I want the full short sleeve, one piece leisure suit. And if I can't have that, then I'm going full dress socks. And with black dress socks with the cargo shorts.
But as you get older, also you can dress up, but still not have the right look. You don't want the Gerald Nadler look.
Well, I don't even know if that's a look, but it's certainly something. By the way, did you know cargo shorts are out? It's like cargo shorts are out.
Yeah.
Don't do the ones with all the pockets anymore.
Yeah, but I travel. They're great for travel. And I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing with me.
I'm old.
I don't care.
I don't care. It's convenient. I can hold stuff in. I can
fly.
More
pockets.
Totally into comfort now.
Exactly.
I don't care. The chicks don't dig me anymore.
Yeah, who needs the I've got a great chick. I'm married, so.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. We always ask why. Well, do I have to explain it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, I will then. The show ends in an hour. We know you can't listen to all 5 hours. A lot of you going to sleep or you're waking up, whatever. This way you can. Right after our show's over, it becomes our podcast. Get the Red Eye Radio app. Listen today. Listen tomorrow. Listen whenever. Wherever.
Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.